Welcome everybody, my name is James Whitelock and I'm the Managing Director of ThinkinCircles, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the remarketing trends for 2022 and beyond. So let's get going. So before we go, we just wanted to have a little bit of a look at some of the stats around online experiences and the digital experience in this day and age. And it's important to kind of have a look at these because it does really kind of influence the way that we engage with people online. And this is everything that we're going to be talking about today. So here we've got two graphs. One is what drives people away and really what people value in their customer experience when online. Basically, they are polar opposites of each other, and you see that they reflect each other. The things that kind of turn people off are bad employee attitudes, so bad customer service, unfriendly service again, bad customer service or bad experience, an untrusted company. And we know that these kind of trusted company status is very much at the forefront when it comes to recruitment. And on the opposite side, we've got what people value in their online experiences: efficiency, convenience, knowledgeable services, friendly service, easy payment, maybe not as relevant to the recruitment space, but still something to kind of keep an eye on, up-to-date technology, human interaction, all things that are kind of really relevant to the way that we operate and the way that we talk to our audiences within the recruitment space online. So let's keep those in mind as we go through our kind of the slides for the rest of the presentation. So we hear a lot about personalization. Personalization has been with us for a long time now, but in this case, I'm not really talking about personalization as in making sure that someone's email name is correct when you're sending that out on those kind of your weekly newsletters or monthly newsletters. We're talking about digging a little bit deeper into that. Obviously, all this personalization has to be data-driven, and within recruitment, we've got CRMs that are full of the data that we need, and it's just about making sure that we can kind of get hold of that data and kind of dig deeper into that data. And we're not really, and we're kind of almost kind of looking at not necessarily big data these, but small data. What are the kind of small things that we know that certain people like or react to or engage with, that we can make sure that they engage with us as well? We'll have all of that in detail in our database, and that might be called small data or micro personalization. And that's the kind of thing that we want to kind of dig deep to. So we're looking at, in this case, is much kind of smaller batches of kind of personalization. So if this was an email campaign, it would be only going to a very, very small kind of demographic of your database, but with a much more highly likely to engage with you because you're really speaking to them on their level. Omnichannel personalization. Well, omnichannel kind of marketing you'll probably have heard before, but this is where all of your kind of output looks the same over whatever channels you're working on. Omni-channel personalization means that everyone gets that same kind of personal touch wherever they have those touch points with you online, whether that's on your website, whether that's when they pick up the phone, whether that's when they talk to you on Instagram, they still get that kind of personal touch. And I always like also to look outside of recruitment. The retailers and online retailers especially do this kind of thing really well. And there's all these kind of things that we can kind of learn from on how they create personalization and how they create that kind of user experience. I think that we can learn a lot from within recruitment. And a good place to start is looking at how you can personalize your website. Now, you can do this manually. It's very kind of simple. One of the things that we talk to a lot of our clients around is just kind of creating these kind of landing pages, personalized landing pages for the people that you want to talk to, whether those are candidates, but predominantly clients usually. And then over time, there's lots of kind of tools out there that you can actually start to automate this kind of personalization process. And there are lots of kind of things out there that we can kind of advise you on where to start with this. Next up is one of my favorite kind of marketing methodologies, which is account-based marketing, or ABM. The beauty of ABM is it's a much kind of high hit rate when you're trying to target the clients you want to work with. And that's really what it's about. It's about treating the clients that you want to work with as a market in their own right. It means you create content, you create space, you create kind of a personalized kind of engagement specifically with one or two or a very small kind of client base or similar style. The great thing about ABM is it means that your sales team and your recruiters have to work with your marketeers. You can't do one without the other. So the recruiters and the salespeople have their job. They identify the clients they want to work with. They know the kind of people within those businesses they want to talk to. The marketeers then kind of put the strategy and put the content together and work alongside the recruiter to get that stuff in front of them at the right time. And it's a great way of aligning both sales and marketing. And it's a great way to kind of work. And as I said, as opposed to this kind of slightly more kind of broader marketing approach where it's just around awareness. There's much more kind of targeted, and the hit rate of bringing clients on is much higher than the kind of usual awareness style campaigns. And next up is community building. Now, we'll all be part of different types of communities, so why don't we kind of bring that into the workspace? Great things about kind of communities is we get a kind of instant feedback from the people within that community. And when we're building these communities, they can be on any channel that you see fit for that's appropriate to your space. This could be things like WhatsApp, it could be Slack, it could be Telegram, it could be all kinds of different places. But there's the opportunity to build these communities, and these could be communities of employees within your business and potential employees within your business to keep them to keep it up to date. Or it could be if you're feeling brave, it could be clients, it could be candidates, it all could be kind of put into and kind of basically in an old style kind of talent pool. But these communities or these online communities are much more kind of cost effective. Obviously, it kind of allows you to kind of talk to them directly, and you can have that kind of instant feedback. We can kind of understand the brand loyalty, and they can understand what your brand stands for, all in one place, and you have much more control over it because you've got that kind of ready community audience for waiting for you to speak to them. And this is an area that we don't really kind of do much of within recruitment, which is influencer marketing. So influencer marketing and influencers are the kind of people you see, the YouTubers, the Instagrammers, the TikTokers who are understand that platform and are able to build audiences very quickly on that platform, and they understand the way those platforms work. Probably it'll be a surprise that there are influencers within recruitment, within all kinds of recruitment, within the spaces that you want to work in, or even the kind of the client spaces and the client industries that you want to kind of work in. There will be people who are influencers. So it's not just for kind of gamers, etc. What you want to do, obviously you want to identify these people and see if you can kind of align yourselves with them, see if there's some kind of partnership you can kind of come up with. The great thing about kind of working with influencers is they tend to understand those platforms better than you do. I would imagine a lot of you out there listening to this probably don't know of TikTok, but probably don't know how that kind of works. Maybe same with Instagram, maybe same with other kind of those social media channels. So this is a great way to kind of get on top of those platforms without having to kind of build out all that knowledge yourself. And it doesn't just have to be social media channels. You can kind of go down the kind of videographer route, so the YouTubers and all the podcasters who also might be able to kind of help you in that space. But think about it as a partnership with these. You're all trying to kind of help each other and try to tap into those networks. And it's not always about money. Tend to find that the influencers who just kind of want you to kind of advertise a product or something, that's not really the kind of partnership that you're looking for. So it's about kind of identifying the right kind of influence as well. But this is something that we don't, as I said, we don't really kind of do much of in recruitment. And I've always kind of wondered why, because definitely within the recruitment space, there are definitely influencers, and definitely I'm sure within your industries that you're trying to kind of target, there'll be influencers as well. So next up is audio over video. So a lot of us will have kind of at some point tried to create a video or a YouTube channel and maybe not had kind of much success, or maybe kind of done a little bit of streaming on LinkedIn or something. The way that things seem to be going is definitely in an audio direction over video. The precursor to this was Clubhouse last year, the kind of social media channel that was just like a live blogging, live podcasting kind of platform, which kind of came and went quite quickly, but did kind of kickstart this with the other channels as well. The other kind of LinkedIns, the Facebooks are all kind of getting on top of this now. So an interesting thing about that is that LinkedIn is about to kind of release an audio only kind of channels on their platform. And as we know, recruiters kind of tend to live on there. So this is something that we probably want to try and get our head around quite quickly. And even if it's not that, the fact that the how the easy it is to these days to create a podcast and the low barriers to entries and those kind of global channels that you can get to with a podcast, the Spotifys, the Amazons, the Apples, that probably wouldn't be available to us any other way. So those are also kind of great things to kind of to push you in this direction. If you don't fancy recording it yourself, there's obviously always kind of sponsorship and advertising of those podcasts or of those kind of streams that you want to kind of that you think are of interest to you and your audience and able to engage with the people you want to engage to. So that's something else to consider. We will have heard a lot over the last kind of 6 months or so about the Metaverse, with the fact that obviously Facebook changing its name to Meta with a real kind of emphasis now on creating what they call a Metaverse. Disney now has kind of got ahead of Metaverse for them as well. So this is something that is coming our way. What it actually looks like in reality is a bit unknown at this moment. Whether you will have to be wearing kind of VR headsets, we don't really know. The key point is it's about kind of connecting all these different types of technologies all in one place and be able to kind of share that with kind of these audiences. So whether you can kind of go on and search Facebook, then go straight to Netflix and watch with your kind of Facebook friends on watching the kind of Netflix live, that's probably the kind of thing that they're looking at. But this is something that also will have effect on recruitment and the recruitment space and the way careers work and the way the jobs work. So it is one of these things that to kind of keep in mind. I reckon by the end of the year, we'll know a lot more about this and how that's going to work, and that kind of the version 1, v.1 of these of the metaverse will kind of be with us. So it'll be interesting to see in which direction that's going to take us all. And this is one of my favorites. And again, one of the things we don't really do enough of within the recruitment space, which is telling stories. A lot of times we're much kind of very transactional in the way that we put our kind of messages out there. Whereas if we kind of think of a kind of a story style approach, where we have a beginning, a middle, and an end, that's much more kind of engaging and compelling, and also actually more efficient for the way that we want to try and get content out there. So that's how we kind of like to think of it. So for every piece of content that we're going to be creating, have a start, a middle, and an end, and that could be so you've got yourself a great article that you've written or a blog or something like that. So that's actually the middle. So running up to that, you've got the beginning. So you've got a campaign saying that this is something's coming, it's on its way. Don't forget to check it out. Maybe kind of put out there the feelers of the kind of the topic you're going to talk about, what other people might think about this topic before you actually release the blog or the article or the video, whatever it is. And then post, you've obviously then got the release of the article itself, and then post that you've kind of got any feedback and kind of the reaction from that and any kind of follow-up that you might have from that. So that's the way to kind of think about your kind of content in a story style, and we find this works really well. And this is probably the most important one, and the most important one to anyone who actually works in marketing, is the way that we now believe that marketing should be taken a bit more seriously and actually kind of have a much more kind of strategic role within businesses. Recruitment marketeers tend to kind of be very kind of at the bottom, or they tend to be right to the kind of directors, but there is a kind of middle ground, and there should be a way to kind of get from one to the other. And it is now, even within the smaller businesses, that marketing needs to take a much more kind of strategic role. And this is changing, but it probably needs to change a bit quicker. You know, obviously when we talk about marketing, we're talking about kind of planning kind of beyond tomorrow, beyond that whole the colouring in department kind of thing that we've kind of all got kind of used to as marketeers. So moving beyond the pretty pictures and aligning marketing with the business goals. And this is the one thing that I think always helps marketing get that seat at the table. If we can say, right, well, our marketing activity is going to help the business do this, this, and this, then I always think that helps kind of get the board on your side. And if you can kind of drive it from the top down, so that means even as a marketeer, you're kind of driving it, but also the rest of the board are driving it, and they understand the importance of marketing. Now, this is something maybe as marketeers we need to do better to kind of educate the people above us about what we do and how we can help the business. So that's probably something on our shoulders that we need to do more of. And we need to try and kind of get beyond these kind of arbitrary targets that we tend to kind of talk about within marketing. So the amount of followers we have and the amount of likes and things like that. We want to kind of talk about actual kind of hard evidence for what we're driving and how much we're affecting the bottom line. This is one that's a bit out there, but it's one I like to kind of talk about and drop in occasionally, because I think it's something that, again, we have never really kind of got our heads around within marketing. So this is the holistic selling proposition. And this basically means, about using all the other senses that are available to us. Within marketing, we tend to kind of basically use one or two, usually sight and maybe sound, but definitely sight. And if we're kind of doing anything else, then we might move on to the others. But we don't tend to kind of use taste, smell, or anything like that, which sounds weird, but studies show that for every other kind of sense you bring into the marketing position, you add kind of 20% more awareness, well, 10 to 20% more awareness. So you can actually say, you can stick with people inside people's kind of minds and be top of mind really easily if you start tapping into other senses, basically. And we all know that, the way that you kind of the senses work, if you smell something, it kind of can bring on an emotion of something that you've maybe done in the past. And so there's that kind of element of brand emotion that we can kind of bring into this as well. So we can associate a certain kind of emotion with the brand that we're advertising and we're trying to market. And the next stage of kind of the holistic selling proposition is the kind of rituals around this, and the way that we want people to do things. And this is already kind of slightly set up for us anyway. That there is a standard and a way, for instance, that a recruitment website is built. So, how do we reinforce those kind of rituals with these kind of other senses and other emotions? It sounds a bit kind of maybe a bit out there, but it's definitely worth something to look at if you're struggling to kind of engage with your audiences. And I suppose the biggest thing, and the thing we're hearing a lot more of, and the thing we try to kind of help our business with, is about being unique and finding out what's unique about your business, and not necessarily all the kind of beyond biggest and best. We've heard a lot of the kind of biggest and best stories, and the businesses who want to do that. It's the businesses who want to be a bit more unique and understand what's unique about their business, whether it's the way they kind of sell, whether it's their brand values, whether it's the people within their business, whether it's the type of people they bring into their business. These unique selling points are the things that are going to turn people on, not necessarily because you've got the biggest database, etc. So that's something that's a great kind of selling point, especially when it comes to kind of employer branding and things like that. That was a quick kind of whistle-stop tour of the things that we think are going to be important within the next year and beyond. If you'd like to kind of know more, then feel free to reach out. But until then, thank you very much.